Hello, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. I'm Zach Jones, and now I'm going to finally finish reading the first chapter of the Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien and edited by Christopher Tolkien. And I probably haven't mentioned this in the first books, but the first chapter of the Silmarillion is a lot like Genesis in the Bible. It's like how Middle-earth was created. But anyway, I am about to... Now, I'm going to start my reading. Hope are you all sitting comfortably? Very good. Now, get ready. As well, I'm about to read the final part of this chapter. Even as Ulmo spoke, and while the Ainur were yet gazing upon his vision, it was taken away and hidden from their sight. And it seemed to them that in that moment they perceived a new thing, darkness, which they had not known before except in thought. But they had become enamoured of the beauty and of the vision, and engrossed in the unfolding of the world which they came there to being, and their minds were filled with it, for the history was incomplete, and the circles of time not full wrought when the vision was taken away. And some said that the vision ceased ere the fulfilment of the dominion of men, and the fading of the firstborn. Wherefore, though the music is over all, the Valar may have not seen, as with sight, the later ages, or the ending of the world. Then there was unrest among the Ainur, but Ilúvatar called them and said, I know the desire of your minds, that what ye have seen should verily be, not only in your thoughts, but even as ye yourselves are, and yet other. Therefore I say, Ea, let these things be, and I will send forth into the void the flame imperishable, and it shall be at the heart of the world, and the world shall be, and those of you that will may go down into it. And suddenly the Ainur saw afar off a light, as it were a cloud with a living heart of flame, and they knew that this was no vision only, but that Ilúvatar had made a new thing, Ea, the world that is. Thus it came to pass that of the Ainur some abode still with Ilúvatar beyond the confines of the world, but others, and among them many of the greatest and most fair, took the leave of Ilúvatar and descended into it. But this condition Ilúvatar made, or it is the necessity of their love, that their power should henceforward be contained and bound in the world, to be within it forever, until it is complete, so that they are its life and it is theirs. And therefore they are named the Valar, the powers of the world. But when the Valar entered into Ea and they were at first astounded and at a loss, for it was as if naught was yet made which they had seen in vision, and all was but on point to begin, and yet unshaped. And it was dark, for the great music had been but the growth and the flowering of thought in the timeless halls, and the vision only a foreshadowing. But now they had entered in at the beginning of time, and the Valar perceived that the world had been but overshadowed and forsung, and they must achieve it. So began their great labours in wastes unmeasured and unexplored, and in ages uncounted and forgotten, until in the deeps of time, and in the midst of the vast halls of Ea, there came to be that hour and that place where was made the habitation of the children of Ilúvatar. And in this work the chief part was taken by Manwë and Aiuli and Ulmo, but Melkor too was there from the first, and he meddled in all that was done, turning it, if he might, to his own desires and purposes, and he kindled great fires. Then, therefore, earth was yet young and full of flame. Melkor coverted it, and he said to the other Valar, "This shall be my own kingdom, and I name it unto myself." But Manwë was the brother of Melkor in the mind of Ilúvatar, and he was the chief instrument in the second theme that Ilúvatar had raised up against the discord of Melkor. And he called unto himself many spirits, both greater and less, and they came down into the fields of Arda and aided Manwë, lest Melkor should hinder the fulfilment of their labour forever, and earth should wither ere it flowered. And Manwë said unto Melkor, "This kingdom shalt not thou shalt not take for thine own wrongfully, for many others have laboured here no less than you." And there was strife between Melkor and the other Valar, and for that time Melkor withdrew and departed to other regions, and did there what he would. But he did not put the desire of the kingdom of Arda from his heart. Now the Valar took to themselves shape and hue, and because they were drawn into the world by love of the children of Ilúvatar, for whom they hoped, they took shape after that matter which they had beheld in the vision of Ilúvatar, save only in majesty and splendour. Moreover, their shape comes from their knowledge of the visible world, rather than of the world itself, and they need it not, save only as we use raiment, and yet we may be naked or suffer no loss of our being. Therefore the Valar may walk, if they will, unclad, and then even the Eldar cannot clearly perceive them, though they be present. But when they desire to clothe themselves, the Valar take upon them forms, some as of male, and some as of female. For that difference of temper they had even from the beginning, and it is but embodied forth in the choice of each, not made by the choice, even as with us male and female may be shown by the raiment, but is not made thereby. But the shapes wherein the great ones array themselves are not at all times alike the shapes of the kings and queens of the children of Ilúvatar. For at times they may clothe themselves in their own thought, made visible in forms of majesty and dread. And the Valar drew unto them many companions, some less, some well nigh as great as themselves, and they laboured together in the ordering of the earth and the curbing of its tumults. Then Melkor saw what was done, and that the Valar walked on earth as powers visible, clad in the raiment of the world, and were lovely and glorious to see, and blissful, and that the earth was becoming as a garden for their delight, for its turmoil was subdued. His envy grew then the greater within him, and he also took visible form, but because of his mood and the malice that burned in him, that form was dark and terrible. And he descended upon Ada in power and majesty greater than any of the Valar, as a mountain that wades in the sea, and has its head above the clouds, and is clad in ice, and crowned with smoke and fire. And the light of the eyes of Melkor was like a flame that withers in heat and pierces in a deadly cold. Thus began the first battle of the Valar with Melkor for the dominion of Arda, and of those tumults the Elves know but little. But what has here been declared is some of the Valar is come from the Valar themselves, with whom the elderly spoke in the land of Valinor, and by whom they were instructed. By little would the Valar ever tell of the wars before the coming of the Elves. Yet it is told among the Eldar that the Valar endeavoured ever, in despite of Melkor, to rule the earth and to prepare it for the coming of the firstborn. And they built lands and Melkor destroyed them. Valleys they delved, and Melkor raised them up. Mountains they carved, and Melkor threw them down. Seas they hollowed, and Melkor spilled them, and naught might have peace or come to lasting growth. For as surely as the Valar began a labour, so would Melkor undo it or corrupt it. And yet their labour was not all in vain. And though were nowhere and in no work was their will and purpose wholly fulfilled, and all things were in hue and shape other than the Valar had at first intended, slowly, none the less, the earth was fashioned and made firm. And thus was the habitation of the children of Ilúvatar established, at the last in the deeps of time, and amidst the innumerable stars. Wow. Now, see what I mean about, well, why it's a... I can see why they say the Silmarillion is a difficult read. But, yeah. I am hoping to read a couple of more chapters from this book. I mean, I've already thought of two. First is about Bered and Luthien, the mortal man who falls in love with an immortal elf. That is both a sad and beautiful story. But also the final chapter, which is like the War of the Last Alliance and the beginning of the Third Age, which is my favourite chapter. But anyway, yeah. And as we all can see, Melkor is a little bit like Lucifer in the Bible. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, please click that like button, subscribe to my channel, and of course, please comment down below. It really helps the channel. Right, have a good day. Goodbye.